tonight for dinner, we're going to have pasta and a meatball sauce. First of all, I'm going to show you how to make the pasta. You can see lots of videos about this on the internet, and I'm sure I'm making some mistakes, but this is what I do. I have some flour for pasta, especially for pasta, 2 eggs, some kosher salt. I don't know why it has to be kosher salt. What's wrong with salt? And finally, we have the 2 most important ingredients, a bottle of red wine and a glass. There we go. Right, let's start making pasta. Tell me. Okay, so first thing, pasta flour, 200 grams. This makes enough pasta, I think, for about 2 meals or 4 people in 1 meal. We pour the flour out, as so, and we make a little nest in the middle. And in here, we put our 2 eggs. 1, 2, and a little bit of the kosher salt. Again, why it has to be kosher? Don't ask me. So I start by gradually mixing the eggs in with the flour, just like this. Da 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 da. Sometimes, if you're not careful, it breaks through the wall of flour and runs out across the table. So try not to do that. This I find is the most satisfying part. Well, the second most satisfying part of making spaghetti is this. The first most satisfying part I'll show you in a while. Meanwhile, we just carry on with this. Gradually it's getting thicker. Da, da, da. I should point out that I have had failures with making spaghetti, and a couple of times when I put it through the spaghetti machine, it comes out looking like corduroy. In other words, the strands don't separate. I've never really discovered why that should be, but let's keep our fingers crossed that today, for this special demonstration, that is not going to happen. Now we're getting nice and thick, and eventually we reach a point where you're allowed to put your fingers in here and start to get really sticky. We're coming close to that, and I think that moment has arrived. This feels nice, very soft. I've seen some other demonstrations of this technique, and the person making the pasta has used up all of the flour. I find that often I have a little bit of flour left over here, and I don't know why that should be. I'm using the right proportions. But anyway, you can see I'm kind of kneading the pasta and trying to incorporate as much flour as I can. Some of the Italians I've watched making pasta do this. They stretch it out and they roll it up, just like that. Kneading and kneading and kneading, and always trying to use up as much of the flour as possible. But you can see I'm sort of failing here. I'm not using all the flour. So what's going to happen is, when I finish kneading this in a few moments, I'll leave it for about 20 minutes. And my assistant, who's doing the filming right now, my assistant will make her her sauce, her meatballs and meatball sauce. And I like to have the sauce ready early, good time, because when I put this pasta through the spaghetti machine, it's going straight into the hot water, okay? I don't want to have it sitting around. I find that it sticks when you put it through the machine and coil it up, as some people do, and leave it for a while, it sticks. So my assistant will now stop filming and get cracking on the meatballs. Tell me when action starts.
Yeah. Action.
So, folks, here is the pasta, a nice little ball, and we're going to leave that for about 20 minutes. Sometimes people coat it with a little bit of oil to stop it drying out, and I may do that, or put some plastic around it. Leave that, and we'll go and get the apparatus for actually churning out the pasta. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to the old kitchen. What we've got here is the KitchenAid mixer or whatever. And here, for all my pasta operations, I have this pack of 3 pasta making attachments. These go on the device.
You haven't got your water on boiling. Just realised. Sorry.
But that's okay, lots of time for that. My assistant has just pointed out that she thinks I've made a mistake, but I haven't. A really, oh, for God's sake, a really important part of this device is a little cleaner, because little bits of dried pasta sometimes accumulate in here. So the first one here, this is the device that rolls the flat sheets of pasta that are going to be sliced up to make spaghetti. So we attach that thus, okay? So the rollers are going to go around. Next, we take the pasta and we roll it into a long piece. And cut this up into 4, 5, or 6 smaller pieces, as you see here. Cut 5 small pieces. So we'll set them aside. Take the first one, and we make it into this sort of elongate shape, thin it out a little bit. We turn on our machine and we set it at number 8, in which the rollers are quite far apart. And here we go through the rollers, first time. First time through the rollers. When it does that, we double it over, because we're going to send it back again at the number 8 setting. I mentioned earlier my favorite part of pasta making. I guess I have several favorites, and this is definitely one. So we change it to 7, and we send it through again. This is not perfect, by the way. I've seen some people do this on YouTube, and it looks really very regular, very rectangular. Mine is coming through a little bit awkward shaped. But I guess you get the point of what's happening. It's been flattened out. Change it up to 5. Setting number 5. So the rollers are even closer together. Then we will turn it to 4. And let's jump ahead to setting number 2. Setting number 2 is the final setting for pasta. Okay, here we go. Oh, small accident. They do happen. So we now have a nice thin sheet of pasta, and what I do is I look for the pizza slice. This is not an ideal shape, by the way. You see it's kind of pointy. It would be much better if it was a nice rectangle. So I take these scraps, and I take this piece and I set it off to the side, and I continue through all my little balls until the end. You can stop now. So, welcome back, and now we're at the final stage. This is the stage that could fail, and if it fails, I'm not going to film it and you're not going to see it. So if you're seeing it, it succeeded. So for this stage, we're going to detach this piece, which is used to flatten the pasta, and insert this piece. This is the piece that, through a miracle of science, produces the pasta. Over here, by the way, these are my little flat pieces that I made with this piece. And as you see, I trimmed most of them so they look kind of nice and rectangular. This is the last piece to go through. It's kind of irregular shaped. And strangely enough, I often find it's this piece that makes the best pasta. Go figure. So let's start our wonderful machine and see if the miracle of pasta works for us or not. Yes, it's coming through pretty nice. Separate strands, great. And as I mentioned before, I'm going to put that straight into the hot water. I'll start on the next piece. Which does not want to go through. I've encountered this problem before, and how I solved it is to put a little bit of water in the end. You won't see this elsewhere on YouTube. And through it comes not bad, some irregularities, and straight into the hot water. What will happen with the third piece? Will it stick? Yeah, it's coming through. This was the smallest piece. It would be nice to make them all the same size. I'm sure the great masters can do that. And let's turn on that. Piece number 4. Again, it doesn't want to come through. I discovered this little trick of putting some water in the end. It's coming through, kind of being crumpled a little bit. Looks okay. Again, into the water, and my assistant will turn the temperature down a little bit. Look at this, it doesn't want to go through. See to that. So this is not the best spaghetti I've ever made. Looks a little bit irregular. And this is the problem with making pasta. Every time you do it, it's different. And Let's turn that off for a moment. It's distracting me. That piece doesn't want to go through. As I said, no one else seems to have to do this, but I discovered it works. Here we go. Into the pot. And one more to go. Not bad looking pasta. You see it into the pot. And we can... Okay. Finally, folks, one last thing about the pasta is it cooks very quickly. This has only been on for a couple of minutes, and I would say almost ready to eat it right away. When you buy your spaghetti, it seems to take a long time to cook. So the sauce is ready, the spaghetti's ready. We're just waiting for our guests, and we're going to enjoy this fine homemade pasta a la Dahlia Street. Bye. Folks, here are spaghetti, meatballs with some Parmesan cheese on top, some French wine. What more could I ask for? Cheers.
You should say bon appetito.
Bon appetito. Is it bon appetito or buen appetito?
No, bon appetito. Hold up your glass and say
Bon appetit is
Here.
French.
Bon appetito, yeah.
Bon appetit, but this is an Italian meal. You see, we're having an argument again. That's what you gotta do. Guests finally arrived. All the spaghetti and meatballs were eaten. And all's left is some wine. And this is Lily enjoying whatever that object is. Eating. Eh? You like that? Oh, there it goes.
Say bon appetito from Lily and
Bon appetito from Libby.
I. Libby?
Libby?
No, say it again.
Bon appetito. What's good appetite